Are you looking for a role in data science space? Well, people from all sorts of backgrounds, be it IT, sales, finance, HR, healthcare, name it, they all want a piece of the data science pie. But then this comes with its own set of challenges. So let me first put your doubts to rest. It is entirely possible to transition into data science from your current line of work or study. And that is exactly what we'll talk in this video. So stay tuned. It feels like half the world wants to move into data science these days. Now, with spectacular perks and a plethora of openings on offer in the industry. Now, organizations are also heavily investing in data science talent to stay or move ahead of their competitors. So now, as being a data science aspirant, you haven't picked a better time to change your career. Now we'll be talking about how to make transition into data science from 7 different backgrounds. In this particular video, which is part 1, I'll be talking about the first 4 backgrounds. So talking about the Transition number 1, how to transition from a software engineer role to a data scientist, right? Now to start with, if you really enjoy software engineering, then you should consider becoming a data engineer or a machine learning engineer. Now, if you would still like to become a data scientist, you should work on these following skills. Number 1, basic probability and statistics. Nothing too fancy, just the rudimentary stuff. Number 2, SQL. You are probably familiar with this language. You have probably used an ORM to interact with different databases. Well, just learn a little bit more about it, kind of window function, CTEs, triggers, good SQL style, and so on. Number 3, modeling. Again, nothing too fancy. Learn some good models to use and when to use them. Read the documentation and tutorials online when needed. Now, this skill also requires domain knowledge about the things you are working at, like ranges from health insurance to warehouse logistics, right? Number 5, data visualization. Data analysis is not very valuable until you turn it into a graph. Could be a map, a time series, a 3D pie chart. Kidding, don't do that please, okay? Or anything else. Then number 6, reporting. Once you have some solid insights, you should make it available and organized into a compelling report, right? It could be a document or a dashboard. And last but not the least, communication. Finally, you have produced a report, or a dashboard. You should be at ease when discussing it with your colleagues and superior. Well, the next transition is career transition from finance to data science. So finance seems like a natural fit for data science, doesn't it? Like it's a numbers field, and that blends it nicely with the data science space. So it's no coincidence that, the BFSI sector is leading the way in data science adoption. So if you're coming from, let's say, accounts or finance background, you're already halfway to achieving your dreams of getting a data science role. So if you want to work as a data scientist in finance, you'll probably need most, if not the following attributes. Number 1, a degree in maths or statistics, computer science, physics, engineering, or subject with significant mathematical content. All right. Second is the ability to program in multiple language, right? Both compiled and interpreted, such as C++, S, which is implemented in R. There is Python or Java, right? Then third is good database skills, right? In at least SQL programming or in any classical RDBMS, for example, MySQL or Oracle or SQL Server, right? Fourth is an adeptness with handling time series data, from Bloomberg or Reuters or any of the myriad financial data streams available. All right. Well, the next transition is, should a UX designer or researcher become a data scientist? Now, this is an intriguing career transition, and I'll be honest, I hadn't considered a UX person wanting to transition into data science. Now, UX researchers are more often than not already using data. They're using it in qualitatively or quantitative, right? So they're using data tools basically. Now, most of them are already, using low-hang data science. Like this includes Google Analytics, surveys, user polls, tools, Excel, among many other things. Now, these are data tools and methods essential to doing UX and finding patterns in the data. However, they are very, very limited in scope and their reach. So if you want to dive deeper into data science tools and languages, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because you will have to learn data tools like advanced Excel, Tableau or Sisense, or learn code like JavaScript with data libraries like R, right? So these tools and code syntaxes are a little bit harder to learn, but you really need to learn them to transition into data science, right? And you can also, what you can do is, in your own organization, you can seek out team members who can help you find new and relevant patterns in your research data, so that that transition becomes easier for you, right? Now, the next transition is, can a marketing and sales professional switch to data science, right? Now, marketing and sales experience is quite different than any other career transition mentioned, right? So the sales and marketing teams work very closely with analysts and rely heavily on data, right? So there is no doubt that many professionals will be lured by data science. This can be a natural transition. So, you'll need to know these pointers ahead. Number one, analytics job is not your other routine job, where people have feelings like, I can manage it somehow, right? You really have to be sure whether you are in it fully or you're not there. There is no middle way out. So you do not have to flatter yourself by saying, main manage kar lunga. No, there is no, that you cannot do everything on your own. Secondly, analytics require respect and knowledge both for the following entities, for maths in general and statistics, right? So number crunching, programming, all of that, to a little bit some extent, you really have to be respectful and knowledgeable about it, right? Then in third, analytics is supposed to make somebody take some decisions that brings some profits and then even cuts back some losses, right? So in general, making better decisions. So it requires a lot of brute business focus, right? So, and trust me, this is not as easy as it sounds. So if you are ready to do this, you then definitely look for that transition. Analytics also requires, kind of structured thinking, right? And structured thinking, not for one task or, two tasks, for the rest of your life, if you're making it as a career choice, right? So only if the answer is yes, should you consider shifting, right? And also, you'll have to swallow your ego in most of the scenarios and be willing to learn and at times unlearn the way you work, right? Remember, they're going to be very young crowd around you, freshers who have an MBA or even 5 years younger than you. Those will be kind of your team members. So you really have to, like I said, swallow that ego pill here, right? And you have to play around with terms such as regression, decision tree, logistics, crosstabs, graphs and charts, feature engineering, your whole life, right? So behind all the glamour that people see in analytics, there is boring maths and stats, and there are, that are sitting and doing their work silently, right? So if you are able to appreciate that, and if you really want that to be part of your everyday life, make that decision to switch into the field of data science, analytics from sales and marketing. Well, these were the some of the domains that I covered. If you're considering to switch into data science, there's a part 2 coming tomorrow where I'll be talking about 3 more domains here. So stay tuned for that. Click on the like button, click on the subscribe button so that you get notifications every time there is a video out.